Okay, so for today, there's going to be a student experience, and then really going to look at the teacher account and how to assign activities to your kids. And then we'll touch on the checkout process, which you guys already know. We'll just kind of send the links out just in case. Student experience is going to be just a little bit different than last time. Normally, our student experience is kind of get in the tool, try it out. It's very much like an intro experience. But since you all have been to the 101 version, the kind of here's how you use them, here's what they do, I wanted to give you a challenge and really give you something that you could essentially take word for word and give to your students tomorrow if you wished. So here's what we're going to do. If you have bolts in your classroom, remember to use the Harry Potter method, and that is from the app. Click on the little connect bolt icon, click the one at the top, find the one that flashes. That's the one that's now hooked up to your device. And then you can run your program and you can test it on the bolt. Okay. If you don't have bolts in your room, please don't worry. I actually have this very cool option to show you. So here's your challenge. I want you, this sounds so easy. I want you to have your bolt draw a square on the floor or your table, wherever you are. Just a heads up though, if you're going to do the table, I would keep your numbers really teeny tiny so they don't accidentally drive off the table. While bolts are marketed as shockproof, I actually had one come back to me cracked. Luckily, Sphero replaced it, no problem. But just a heads up, they are not as shockproof as we thought they were because they did, it did crack. So, okay. Can you all see my picture right here? Is it okay? Yeah, I see a nod. Okay, so
yeah, we can see.
So what I did is I'm in the app, and you can do this on your phone or on your computer. Either one would work fine. What I want you to do when you go to do the square, if you don't have any robots in your room, here's what you're gonna do. So you're gonna go to Programs, and then you're going to go to the plus sign. And then do you see this one right here called Virtual Bot? It says new and it's in beta, and it's purple. So what I'm hoping is that you tried to write a program something like this. On start, roll 0 degrees at some speed for some number of seconds, then roll 90, then roll 180, then roll 270, or some version of that. Hopefully what you found, if you were able to do this, you know, roll 0, 90, 180, 270, is that it doesn't really work perfectly. So as the bolts are rolling forward and they try to turn, instead of going forward, which we would think go 1 second, turn, go 1 second, turn, go 1 second, they don't really do that. So as they're rolling forward, they see, oh, it's been a second, I need to turn. And they kind of do this almost like, think like a drift in a race car, right? They kind of keep going up as they're turning. So then they go again, and it makes these rounded corners. So that's why this is such a challenge, especially for students. You say draw a square, they go, okay, a square has 4 sides. I'm going to put these 4 blocks in. So a recommendation, if you're still in your code in your program, I want you to see what happens if you add a pause after each forward portion. And I'm going to give you about 2 minutes. I'm just going to set it on my phone. But take about 2 minutes, see if you can edit that code and really get those like harsh 90-degree turns, and to have it start and stop in the same spot. Okay, that's been just about 2 minutes. So if you are doing this with students, here is what here's what my successful program looked like, and this could vary. So what I did is I rolled 0 degrees, which is straightforward at this speed for this many seconds, and then had a delay. So essentially it's rolling the Sphero forward, it stops, then it rolls it right, then it stops, then it rolls it back down, and it stops, and it rolls it left, and then it stops. So it really has time to kind of process each individual command, and they don't just like meld together in this weird soft square blobby looking thing. So this is something I would actually recommend, and Sphero recommends as well, as one of your first kind of challenges. So not necessarily it's the first day, let me see how they work, let me drive it, let me change the colors, let me play around. But one of the first real activities you do with your kids is this kind of square challenge piece. Okay, so I'm going to cover that back up just in case you want to copy any of these slides. You do have that right there. And then we're going to jump in and move forward to the teacher portion. So that's really what we're here for. And I just want to clarify before we go much further. Remember, there are two ways to access everything Sphero. There's the app, which lets you do a lot of the browsing activities, browsing programs, writing programs, all of that stuff. But really, that's where you're able to drive your Bolt and then to run your programs. You cannot, like Tina said earlier, you cannot actually connect to your Bolt from the website. That has to be from the app. And then in the website, that's where you do all those other things, you know, browse activities, browse programs, write programs. But this is where you access your classes. So if you try to access classes from the app, it gives you an error message. So when I go and I click on classes, it says, oh, you can only do that from the site. Would you like to go to the site now? Okay, so that's the one thing you cannot do in the app is anything class related. So I think there was a note when you guys first joined in the Q&A. This slide deck has a lot of hidden slides if you ever need to look back at resources. So I'm just going to click through to the ones for today. And really, this is where we're going to spend a good chunk of our time, is on classes on the Sphero website. So I think, Glay, you have the link, if you don't mind dropping that in chat, just so everyone has it easily accessible. The website is edu.sphero.com. And when you get to that classes section, you'll see a spot for learners, which shows you who's in your class, a spot for assignments, so what you've assigned to each class, and then there's a tab or a section for moderate. Moderate is something that's ending next month, so I'm not even going to touch it. They're erasing that feature. It will no longer be there. It's going away. So yes, there's a moderate button now, but I would not worry about that at the moment. They are not going to have that very much longer. Okay, so what I think is the easiest and fastest way to get your students into kind of your Sphero account is by syncing in Google Classroom. So let me see if I can do this from my device. If we can't, Glay has graciously offered to share her screen and we'll kind of walk through what it looks like on her end. So let's go to edu.sphero.com and you will have a few minutes to do this in just a minute. So if you want to just watch for this round and then you want to try it later, that's totally fine too. Thank you, Glay. So if you'll click on classes and then sync with Google Classroom. And then allow. Okay, so here, notice she has a list of all of her current Google Classrooms. So you're going to select the class you want to sync. And I think you said that was it the tech one you wanted to do? There you go. So she found Koenig's Tech Time. She's going to leave that one checked, and then she's going to click Submit. And then it does take a minute, but it will kind of load and sync, and it's usually fairly quick, maybe a minute or two is what I found in the past. Okay, and then so it says it's complete, refresh to see synced class data. So if you wouldn't mind refreshing. Okay, so now that's as long as it took. You can see over on the left, it says Koenig's Tech Time. It already has the exact same name from Google Classroom. And then I want to point out something that you see here. So notice at the top, it says one sync error, and it says it was updated just now. what I want to show you, and Glay, I think I can probably take back over. I just wanted to walk through like what buttons to click and kind of how to get there. So what I'll do is I will show you this sync errors. So in Sphero, for whatever reason, if someone has logged in as a teacher with Sphero in the past, it will not let them join your classroom. So it had one sync error, and it's going to tell you when you open it, they're already enrolled as a teacher. They cannot be added as a student. For whatever reason, Sphero is not very friendly with different roles. So when your students log in, make sure they log in with a student account, because if they log in as teachers, there's going to be issues and they're not going to be able to access classes as a student. So I had planned at this point to let you guys actually go in. If you're not signed in yet to the app or to the website, go ahead and do that. Make your account, get going as a teacher, and then try to sync your this year's Google Classroom. Okay, and then if you, for whatever reason, are not using a Google Classroom this year, let me know. There are a few other ways we can help you get a class. Okay, so we're gonna do 4 minutes, and then we will come back together in 4 minutes.
Hey, Jesse, I had a question for you.
Sure.
So what I've been noticing is when kids get logged in for the first time on their district Chromebooks, it asks them to allow location services, and many of them just immediately click no thanks, right? And then they are unable to connect to a bot. And like I've tried all these different routes. I've turned their Bluetooth off and on. We've restarted everything. They just can't. So I don't know how to fix that when they're like, oops, I clicked no thanks. And now like they can't ever connect to one.
I probably have a solution. Let me look in this 4-minute chunk and I will send you the directions.
Sounds good. Thanks.
When you get to an activity you'd like to assign, there are 2 buttons that you see in the top right-hand corner. So one of them is assign via classroom. One of them is assign, and then it just has that little plus icon and kind of that like, I don't know, human head and shoulders. If you click on the classroom icon, what it does is it takes that activity, so like blocks 1 or introduction to Sphero, and it assigns it inside Google Classroom. Your kids would open Classroom, click on the assignment, exactly how they would if you assign them a doc or a slides or something like that. So when they click on their assignment, it opens straight up in a new tab in the website. They click Start Activity, they start working, they're good to go. The only problem is, remember, they cannot drive or connect to the bolts from the website. However, once they've clicked Start and they're actually working on the activity, they can access it as well through the app. So if they started from Classroom, they went into the website, they started working, and let's say tomorrow they want to come back and they want to work on it some more, but they open it in the app, all of their progress is saved, they have all of the same information, and now they can actually run their program because they're in the app. Now, if you click on this other assign button, the one with the little person, what happens is when the students sign into the Sphero app the next time, so let's say you assign it today because you're going to work on it tomorrow in class, when they go in tomorrow and they go to the activity section, they see a new activity in what's called their workbook, and then they can start working right away. The only problem with this one is there's no notification. It doesn't email them. It doesn't tell them, you know, some other way, hey, you have a new assignment. It's kind of like it's there. It's just waiting for the teacher to tell them, okay, now go into the Sphero app and get working. Okay, so there are two different ways. And really, I think the way that you do it is just to, you know, personal preference. Let's see, Jackie, is there an audio option for students activities read to them? Not that I know of. I have not found an audio option yet. I know some other things have it like Flipgrid, but no, I don't think Sphero has that yet. Okay, so now you're a teacher. You've got your classes uploaded. So here's a screenshot of one of mine. So I have this Sphero class, and then this one, Katie so graciously let me come in and kind of practice with her students. So here is my test student, and here's all the stuff my test student was assigned. You can see right here, this Draw One Shapes was assigned on February 17th. They started it February 17th, but they have not completed it, and they only got 75% of the way through. So you are able to track students' progress right from Sphero's website, right in your class option. And then if you click on that Draw One Shapes name, so click right here where it says Draw One Shapes, what you get is you get this kind of same information, just in a different layout. So they're 75% of the way done. You can tell it's still in progress. Here's the student. Here's their email, when it was assigned, when they started it. Notice it hasn't been completed. And then if you scroll down, you can actually see your students' programs. So it's not just a high-level overview of, oh, they got 75% of the way through, they started it on such and such day. But if you actually click view right here, you can see their exact program. So this happened to be a draw activity, so it was Draw One. This is exactly what that student worked on. They had the color blue down here, and they did these two kind of loop things. So you are able to check and really drill down and see what exactly did my students do. If it's a block program, you can see what blocks they have. So you are able to kind of view in a little bit like you are in Google Classroom or in Google Docs, things like that.
Jessie, we have a question. Christina is asking, since students are working in pairs, would you suggest both students do the programming?
Good question. What I would recommend is what we call pair programming. So essentially, one student has a computer in front of them. The other one is kind of their partner. So we call them driver and navigator. Driver is the one who's actually touching the device. They're the ones clicking the buttons, you know, dragging up the blocks. The navigator is the one saying, okay, Jessie, I think you should put this block here. And then as Jessie, the driver, it's my job to pull that block up. Now, typically we would say either every step or every like 2 minutes, you would trade off and you would have students, you know, okay, scoot the computer over or switch chairs. I'm not sure if that's something your site is allowing you to do or you are comfortable with given our current situation. And if that's the case, then you might do like activity by activity. Okay, Jessie is going to be driver for this activity, Glay's going to be navigator. And then for tomorrow's activity, Glay's going to be driver, Jessie's going to be navigator. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, that's just what I was kind of, like if we're going to assign this, then, then students will have, if they're not being the navigator, the programmer, it's not going to look like they're doing the work, which I'm okay with that. I just was like, maybe they should both be doing the programming. The other question I have too is, does it make the most sense just to partner kids up for, like if we're going to do the Draw One, then you guys are going to be partners for the entire time we do this assignment? That's probably the most sensical. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, do you mean as opposed to trading partners like every day?
Right. Because, so we're going into our STEM lab on Wednesdays to use them right now. So how they want to always like, oh, I'm going to be partners with that person next time, even though maybe they didn't finish the activity. So I'm just actually kind of thinking out loud with you guys.
Oh, you're good. That's what we're here for. Yeah, I think probably keep the same partners for the same activity. So if you're all doing Draw One this Wednesday and next Wednesday, maybe keep the same partners. But then when it's Draw Two or it's Blocks One, yeah, switch it up. That's totally fine. Okay, so for this section, I really just wanted to give you some time to kind of explore. If you're able to like the activities, so if you click into an activity name, like Draw One, and you're kind of reading through the lesson, there's a little white heart with a red outline. If you click on that, you're able to save them into a My Like section where you can come back later and you can see all the ones you've liked. So you don't have to kind of hunt for those. All right, I'm going to move us on just so that we can end on time. So I just wanted to remind you, if you're at an elementary school, you should have one set of bolts at your school, and there's a STEM kit checkout form here that you can fill out. If it's the first time you're using the bolts, we need a 1-week notice just to make sure that we remotely install the app on your students' devices. If you have checked them out before, you do not need the 1 week's notice. You can check them out as soon as, tomorrow. If for whatever reason you would like to check out additional kits, we do have some in my office, and there's a checkout form here. You would be able to check them out for 2 weeks at a time. And just like with your school set, we would need a 1-week notice to make sure the app is out to your students. And I will do all the back end work, like sending emails, having them dropped off, and all of that stuff. I would just need you to fill out that form so I know you are looking to borrow the bolts for a little bit.